am Kral. I am reporting to you not live in my closet. I think I have the setup finally done. I think. I'm going to add like a vision board here and, you know, maybe a couple things behind me. But like, I think this is how I sit in here now. I don't know. I'm late. I'm going to just pop right into the poop scoop. Because again, guys, I don't know. I'm mildly disappointed in myself that that I'm out of pooping my pants stories. But then I'm oddly proud that it took like 41 weeks for me to be out of poop stories. And I'm not even sure if I'm fully out of them yet. Right? Like, I think I told you when I was a sophomore in college, I was sitting with two best friends and we were studying and we started talking about like embarrassing poop stories. And I was like, oh, we're doing the poop scoop now, I guess. That's what's happening. Well, because I'm explaining why the episode's going to be late, too. But I didn't poop my pants, unfortunately, was what I was going to say. I don't know why that's unfortunately, but I am who I am. God, everybody loves a good poop pants story. You know, like everybody shit their pants. Once again, if you have never pooped your pants, you're either lying or your time is coming, my friend. But I was sitting there studying with like these two girls in college, and it's like late night studying. And we start talking about embarrassing poop stories, like when we like plug toilets and stuff. And they're like done talking, and I have double theirs combined. And one of them goes like, "No wonder you're so freaked out about pooping anywhere. Like you have like been traumatized." But yeah, I'm late today because by the way, Crawl Space is only late when I have diarrhea. That's it. That's like, just so you know, if it's past noon, you're like, where the fuck's Crawl Space? Noon, I don't even know if anybody's like sitting there waiting at noon for the episode to drop. If anybody is out there being like, oh, it's noon on Wednesday. Who knows? I maybe that'd be really awesome, but I don't know. But just so you know, if it's past noon, it's because I had diarrhea. That's it. That's the only reason why it would be late. I mean, other barring like an emergency or I had COVID, but like, yeah, it's because I had diarrhea. And so today I had diarrhea, which is just obnoxious. Like I don't think you guys understand if you poop like a regular person. I don't even know what that means. Like, I don't think I've ever in my life pooped like a regular person. Ever. I wonder if something happened when I was a child. Who knows? Those two lunatics really, really did. By those two lunatics, I mean my parents. Like, my uncle told me a couple years ago, like 3 years ago, maybe 4. He was like, man, you should have been dead like a bunch. Like, your parents almost killed you like a bunch. And, yeah, so like, who knows what happened with my poop stuff? I know my mom's super weird about pooping. Like, I know she's like, weird about, like, when, like, I don't know, I was like probably in college and I was home visiting her and we're in the kitchen and my stepdad is upstairs and she's like, we're talking normally and then she whispers and goes, honey, I'm going to go into the bathroom and I'm going to poop. And I was like, okay, who are we whispering for? And she goes, oh, Ken's upstairs. I don't want him to hear. And I was like, dude, you've been married for like, at this point, they were married like a decade. I was like, I think he probably has figured out that you poop. Like, I think he probably knows. And she goes, I mean, I know, but like, you know. I'm like, what? Like, I don't want to have the marriage. Like, a friend of mine sent me a clip of, I think, This Is Your 40s or something like that. I've never seen it. It's a Judd Apatow movie, I think, where like, the wife is just like exploding openly with the door open right before bed and just like talking to her husband and he's horrified and she's just thinking it's totally normal and she's just like, oh, and it's like, bleh. Right, those are my poop noises. But like, you know, like and then she comes into bed and then she tries to like have sex with him, I guess I gathered from the fucking clip. And then he's like, ew, stinky, get away from me. Only he had a funnier name. He was like, I can't think of it. And I was going to try and come up with it. Couldn't do it. But he's like, get away from me. But like, I don't want that, right? Like, I'm hoping that whoever I end up with, like, I don't want to, the guy that I'm talking to now, it's still that weird period where you're like, we're more than just friends, but we're still taking it slow, whatever. But he asked me, he goes, what if we're together like 2 years? Like, how do you feel about pooping in front of me? And I was like, well, I prefer not to. And I would prefer you not to do that too. And he's like, oh, thank God. I'm like, who have you been? Like, who are these people that, like, it's not even a comfort thing. You know what I mean? Like, I have some bathroom stuff we're all very aware of. But, like, it's not even like I don't think I physically could poop with someone. Oh man, I don't know if I ever told you guys this story. Wow, I guess we're off and running. Oh well. Oh well. I have so much to talk about today. There's a lot of I've had kind of a rough week, like just a rough like anxiety. A lot of like stuff has happened this week that I'm just like really fucking freaked out. And it's like, thank God I have my, my program I talk to you guys about all the time. Thank God I have that and like all the support I have, because like I would run through a window like a fucking Kool-Aid man because of my anxiety. I don't know if that'll make sense to anybody unless you have anxiety. Like, you're just so like you feel like you can just like paint a whole house or something, or just like blow through a window. I don't know why that's so funny. But yeah, like I physically don't think I could. Although, okay, so one time there is a girl that I used to, and she's nice. She's a nice girl. She lacks social cues, which this story will highlight a lot. But yeah, I've known her a long time. She used to be a regular at the bar I worked at in the big group of people that were like my regulars. And, they kind of picked on her. They actually were really shitty to her. But she's a really nice girl, and she's a hard worker. Like, she's great. I have nothing bad to say about her. She just lacks social cues. And so I was at Target one time, and I was waiting in the checkout line. And it was like one of those situations where you're like, I might shit my pants in this checkout line. Like, it's like, do I just abandon, like, my stuff and just run into the bathroom and then just, like, I don't know, like, come back and just reshop? Or, like, what, or, like, what, like, it's one of those, or do you just shit your pants? Like, which one? Or will you make it? Can you make the gamble? You know what I mean? Like, can you make it? I've asked myself that question probably more than the average adult. Like, do I think I can make it? Sometimes I do, and sometimes, man, I don't. Sometimes I just shit my pants. So you would think that you would think that I would learn the lesson at some point where I'd be like, don't gamble, just go to the bathroom. But I did gamble. But while I'm waiting in line, I'm like next or some shit. But I like see this girl, and she's walking, and I was just like, oh fuck. And she's so nice. I don't know, like, you know how I struggle with people maybe listening to this that I talk about, but like I'm not saying anything bad. Like, and I'm also not one of those people that's like, I just don't talk shit like that. I'm learning more and more. I don't know. I don't really like being around people who just like constantly talk shit about people just to talk shit. It's just really petty to me. And like, I've never really been a person that has done that, but I've been around a lot of people that do that. God, I love that. It's so hard when someone's talking seriously about something and they say duty or doo-doo. I'm such a goddamn child. I'm like, why didn't you acknowledge you said duty? Say duty. That's Chandler Bing, I think. But yeah, like, so I'm not talking shit about this girl. Like, she's a nice girl. She just lacks social skills or social cues, which I know is like a common thing. And also, she's just one of those people that when you run into her somewhere, like, it's hard to be like, yo, I gotta go. Like, it's just like, oh, I'm gonna corner you for a little bit and talk for a while. And you're just like, I gotta go. And you have to be like, kind of mean about it, right? Like, you like run into certain people. I don't know why I'm like so nervous about saying this, but like, you run into certain people and you're able to go, oh my God, it's really good to see you. I'm actually in a hurry. Let's catch up some other time. And they'll go, yeah, cool. Good to see you too. And they leave. Other people, there's some people that just don't have that, where they're like, oh, I just was trying to tell you how my day was. And it's like, no one is saying, like, don't play the victim. It's annoying. It's annoying, and I'm in a hurry. It's like when you see people in your hometown from your high school. You're like, I don't give a fuck how you're doing. No offense. Like, you have kids, you still live here. I think I'm caught up. I don't know. I don't care. Like, and I don't expect you to care how I'm doing either. Like, I'm not like almighty and superior. So anyway, this is one of those girls that like, she kind of corners you if you run into her places, and you're just like, and you feel bad being like, I gotta go, because they have to kind of do that, right? So I see her, and I'm like, fuck. She's gonna see me, and I'm gonna shit my pants, and I don't know what to do. So I'm like trying to avoid eye contact with her while praying that the Target cashier just like hurries through this order so I can just run and explode in the Target bathroom. Because remember, I'm like gambling. Like, I may shit my pants while they're bringing up my order. Oh, I guess I'm not out of stories. Let's just take a minute. I'm way too happy about that. I'm happy about that. Weird. Oh God, I have so much anxiety just being in this closet. I'll tell you all about the anxiety. I've just had like a tough week. Not like, I'm fine, but it's just, just a lot of like anxiety shit. and not being out in my living room. Whatever. Okay, I'll get to it. But we're still the poop scoop. So they hurry up in the cashier, or they do their job. You know, you can't be like, hurry up, I'm gonna shit my pants, but you want to say that, right? But you don't. So you go into I run into the bathroom, and the girl's in the bathroom. The forced small talk girl with zero social cues, and I'm gonna shit my pants. And she's like, hey girl, and I'm like, hey, and she's like, how are you? And I'm like, look, I'm gonna level with you. I'm gonna shit my pants, so I'm not gonna be able to, like, I gotta go to the bathroom. I'm sorry. And she goes, oh, that's okay. And then I go into the bathroom, and she starts talking to me, and I was like, girl, I don't mean to be rude, but like, I need to poop, and it's gonna be really loud. It's gonna be really disgusting. So I'll just see you around. And she's like, that's okay. And then stayed and talked the whole time. The whole time. Like, just. And when I'm telling you, it was one of those poops that was like, it sounded like somebody dumped a bucket of water in that toilet. Like, it was like, like farting loud. It was like a shameful poop that you pray that you just never have to, like, that you don't, that you either are home or so far away from home that if you plug the toilet, you can just walk away. The whole time. Like, I walked out, and she's still smiling and rambling on about God knows what, and I'm like, oh, so you weren't doing anything in here. You were just talking. Because I was hoping I'd come out and she, like, needed to, like, finish her makeup or was doing something. No! She was just hanging out while I was shitting! And she's like, oh, yeah, I thought I'd wait for you. And I was like, okay, well, I gotta go, so... Bye. Like, I wasn't even worried about her feelings at that point. I was like, what the fuck? Someone like that has zero social skills. And if she is listening and she knows it's her, girl, I hope you don't take offense to this story. I hope you just, like, take a hard look at sometimes how you are in public. I don't know. Because that horrified me. I still think about it. Yeah, that's your poop scoop. That's your poop scoop. Yeah, I don't know, I've had, where to start, man? Let's see. It started a little bit last week. I'm having some neighbor issues. So here comes the neighbor story. I've talked to you guys about a little bit about how I don't, as a rule, I try not to become friends with my neighbors. Just because there's so many moving parts of the story. I don't even know if I can. One of my neighbors I have become friends with, and I was, like, worried about her listening to this podcast because I think I kind of made fun of her before we became friends, and she knows that, and I'm like, I think I just made fun of you for always talking about your boyfriend, but I don't really remember. And then she laughed, and then I laughed, and so it was fine. But, like, and I'm a comedian too, you know what I like? It's just like it's like my friend Kelsey says on our conspiracy show, you're just goofing. I'm just goofing. And I don't really make friends with my neighbors, but, like, just because I do have the relationship with this girl where she knows that she can't just drop by. Like, I never want a neighbor to feel comfortable enough just to knock on my door. And maybe some of you who are listening in the middle of the country who are like, that's sad. Yeah, it's different when you live in a big city. There are a lot of fucking weirdos, and I will tell you the story now on why you don't allow, you set that boundary, or you put up those walls, or people just know, oh, if I need anything, I need to text her before I just swing by. Like, even my neighbor who lives to the right, who's been gone for like 6 months, which sucks during this situation because I'd feel so much safer if he was here. Yeah, it's been a week, man. I think it's been solved, but it's still, but, like, even when he'll walk by with the door open, he doesn't look inside. Like, he just like, you just have boundaries. Just have boundaries. So I think I shared over the summer that there's a guy that lives below, like, diagonally to me. We'll call him H. And then my two neighbors next to me are a couple, and then Mike to my right? I'm not worried about using the names of the people on my left and right because they're friends, right? We're friendly. But they were hanging out a lot with H. And I don't know, H kind of gave me, like, I listen to that voice now. I listen to the, yeah, I listen, like, my spidey sense is what I call it. Like, every alarm bell went off. Like, quick sidebar, keep up. You guys will be able to keep up. I think if you're listening this far along, you've probably already know my bing, 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 bing. uh, I, I, that voice, I haven't always been kind to that voice. Like, and every single time it's right. Every single time. There's never been a time that it was wrong. Ever, ever, ever. It's always right? Your intuition. Always. And mine's super hyper vigilant because I needed it to survive a pretty fucked up earlier life, childhood, earlier life, night meal. I needed it for that. And so I like, my hypervigilance may be a little crazy sometimes, or what other people may deem as crazy, but it's 100% always right. So the friend of mine that I'm not really friends with anymore, who doesn't know what communism is, if you remember from last week, it's gotten a little funny to me, but she used to get mad at me because she would say I wasn't friendly to all the dudes that hit on us. And like, yeah, I'm not. Like, if I'm not interested, I think it's nicer to be like, oh, no, like, I'm not like, fuck you, get away from me. But I'm like, oh, no, thank you. We're out together and we're just wanting to have a drink. We don't really want to. And then she'd be like, why did you do that? And I'm like, did you want to go out with that guy? Were you interested in him? And she's like, no, but he might have bought us a drink. And I was like, yeah, that's mean. That's meaner than what I did. Like, you leading on some guy all night because you want free drinks is meaner than me going, I'm not interested. Have a good night, right? Like, I can buy my own drinks. I'd way rather buy my own drinks than have to have forced small talk with some loser. I'm sure he's not a loser. That's kind of mean. But she told me that she asked me if I could just try to be nicer for a little bit. And I was like, why? We're probably not really friends anymore. Also, I can't, that's not who I am. No, I'm not. Like, and this is the day that I was like, yeah, girl, I'm going to listen to my intuition. So we're sitting at the bar. It's football Sunday. I'm sober. And then she's doing the weird thing that people do when you're like, oh, I don't feel like drinking. And they're like, oh, I've already had a bunch to drink and I thought you were going to drink. So now I'm going to awkwardly sip this one drink. And I don't know. It's good this friendship's not around any longer. But some guy is sitting to my right and he is like overly friendly and not like hitting on me, but like has his arm around me and is like, go Pat, go, and like blah, blah, blah. And every goddamn alarm in my body was like, this guy is trouble. Don't talk to him. But I didn't listen to that voice because this bitch told me I needed to be nicer. And I was like, I'm going to try and be nicer. So I talked to this guy for a little bit, even though I was just like crawling out of my skin uncomfortable. Again, there was no rapey vibe. He wasn't even hitting on me. I just knew something was up with this dude. I'm drooling. By the way, I was not aware of all the like mannerisms I have until I started recording this hour alone in this closet. I'm like, man, I touch my face a lot and I drool. So the guy leaves and I know the bartender. I know her, like, I not just from bartending that, she's a comedian and I've known her for years, right? She runs out and then comes back and goes, fuck, that guy just went outside and stabbed a homeless man. And luckily the homeless man, in case you care, the homeless man lived, and this idiot left his credit card behind, so when the cops came, it was like, this is the guy's number, so he got in trouble. But like, that day, I was like, I will never not listen to that voice. That voice is always right. Thank God nothing else happened. I mean, obviously not to the homeless guy, but I mean, like, it's so terrible. But like, thank God, like, I didn't walk outside with him or something. You know what I mean? Like, it's just like, when people tell you you're wrong or your perceptions are wrong, fuck them. Don't be friends with them. And I'm not friends with this girl anymore because it was more important to her to be liked or have free drinks than it was for like me being like, I'm uncomfortable talking to these people. So I always listen to that voice, right? So my neighbor H, we're back to the neighbors. My neighbor H has given me anxiety. Not anxiety, it's just like there's something off. There's been something off the whole time I've known him. The whole time, like, and he had a girlfriend that lived here for a while, but then she moved out and they broke up. She moved across the country, and I was just like, yeah, I just don't. God, this story is so complicated. It's so long. I mean, I guess you're probably on board. I don't know if you're not. Here we are. But like, yeah, like he also was always kind of rude to me. Like, weirdly, like, would treat me like I was being rude. Like, they would hang out and I would show up and like Mike would offer me a beer and I would be like, oh, no, thank you. And he would be like, oh, come on. And I'd be like, oh, I don't really like Bud Light or whatever he had. I don't get upset, Bud Light people. I know you are really weird about your Bud Light, but like, Roger, I love you. But like, whatever it was. I was just like, oh, I don't want to. Oh no, my computer turned off, and I don't know if that. Oh my God. Okay, well, we are not going to just like my thing is just like much further away now. My computer, so I can't just like, wow, that was really, but like, I would go, oh no, thank you. I don't really like that. And then H would go, wow, you're so rude. He's offering you a beer. Sorry, princess, you don't like beer. Like he would always kind of treat me like that. And I was like, dude, but then he also would treat me like he thought we had like a, like sexual tension. And I'm like, no. And so one night we all hung out, and it was, one of the girls, Elena's birthday, my neighbor. And we hung out, and there was like a piece of hair on here. It's driving me crazy. And there was another girl there that I guess dated H. I don't know. This is just so fucked up and sad. God damn it. This is so sad. And she had too much to drink that night, right? And so when she had too much to drink and was like, I need to lay down, my girl neighbor was like, oh, why don't you go up and lay down on our couch? And she was like, that's okay. I know H. I'll sleep on his couch. And so then we all continued partying for the night, and we all went to bed, and that was that. And then we started a group chat with the 6 of us. So my neighbor to my right, my 2 neighbors to my left, H, the girl, and me. Yeah, that's 6. Okay. And the girl, the drunk girl, never responded to any of the texts. And H would send like 50 texts. Like he was not a well person, and she never responded, and she never came back around. So like a couple of weeks ago, like maybe a month ago, my girl neighbor was like, yeah, we went and saw her, and this is so fucked up, man. We went and saw her, and we asked her why she hadn't come back, and she was just like, oh, I don't want to go back there. I don't really want to say anything, and I don't really want anything to happen. But that night that I fell asleep, like, you know where this is going. That night where I fell asleep, I woke up, and he was having sex with me. She was drunk and passed out, and she woke up to him having sex with her. And when she was like, don't do that, he was like, you're drunk. We've already had sex. You would have done, like, yeah, all the, like, that's rape. And the fucked up thing is that she can't report that. Like, I know a lot of, it's usually men that go, yeah, she can. Yeah, she can fucking report that. And it's like, you don't understand. She can't. I mean, she can, but she'd have to go through a whole lot. All of her sexual history will be put on trial. The fact that she had sex with him, she'd be shamed for having sex with him. And it's still a he said, she said, and she was drunk, and they had sex before. So he would get away with it. Like, the law hasn't caught up to, what we now understand as consent, which is so fucking fucked up. It makes me so angry. And what makes me even sadder is just like this poor girl was raped by this guy, and then had to, and I know she didn't have to, like, I know we're all like responsible for our own shit, you know what I mean? But like, she got to get like hundreds of text messages from this guy in this group chat. I mean, maybe she muted it. I don't know. But like, so after that, like, I wasn't really hanging out with the guy anyway, but after my girl neighbor found out about that, she just like, they completely stopped hanging out with him, which made, when crazy people, he's not a well guy, right? And that's what all the anxiety is about. He's not a well guy. And so when you're like, oh, backing away, that makes people get desperate. So then he started like desperately texting my neighbor, like just like 50 text messages a day, like shit like that. And even one time, like, she got a call from Postmates and was like, we're out, like, to her phone number, and or like Instacart or some shit. And so she went outside confused, and he was out there, and he goes, oh, I accidentally put your phone number in instead of mine, like something bizarre like that. So he's not well. So we were talking about it at the beginning of the year, and she's still in contact with his ex-girlfriend, who apparently had to move to the East Coast just to get away from him. And he followed her there over Christmas, and that's a whole other thing. But apparently he was supposed to move out at the beginning of January. So we were like, thank God he'll be gone. So then mid-January, he's still there. And according to the girlfriend, he went on some drug bender. And what's even scarier, he's like wandering around our building with no mask on and hanging out with everybody. And my neighbor has seen him under the bridge, like under the homeless bridge, where there's like 2 types of homeless encampments here. It's like the like drug addicts, like the like really fucked up people who are doing drugs. And then they're the people that are like homeless and have nothing, like, it's such a sticky thing. People get so offended, but like, that's my experience. There's people that like are literally down on their luck and like, just like, I live in this tent, I'm doing the best I can. And then there are people that are like, And those are the people that are dangerous and scary. The drug addicts, the ones that like, and I know people are like, you're just lucky you have a house. There's a guy that, maybe I'm putting words into your mouth, because there's a comedian that like yelled at me when I was saying that I was upset about the freeway next to my house that had like an encampment of drug addicts that would like, he's like, you're like, just because you're lucky enough to have a home. And I'm like, well, first of all, I worked my ass off to have this home. Second off, I wouldn't mind it if it wasn't dangerous. Like, I can't walk in my neighborhood without being followed, or yeah, I get followed. Like, so fuck off with your like, you're just lucky about home. No, this is so sorry, it made me so angry. That guy also was walking me home from our radio show that night. He was a guest, and walked me home from there. And that's what he was saying, that I was just lucky enough. And I'm like, yeah, I'm lucky enough that I can't walk 100 yards by myself at night because this, and then he was like, I'd come upstairs, but like, I'm afraid we'll make out. I was like, what? Well, if it helps, I don't want to make out with you, so it won't happen. He goes, yeah, but I still think we will. I'm like, even though I just now told you I don't want to make out with you, this is also a guy who used to show me his erect penis at whatever, not through his pants. I don't know. There's so much. When a woman tells you she feels unsafe, believe her. Right? Like, your experience is different than our experience. Like, without, like, people are like, I can't believe that guy would do that. I'm like, well, cool, he did. And it made me uncomfortable, and it was awful. And he used to show it to me a lot. And everyone thinks he's like an ally. I don't know. I got off base. I'm so anxious, guys. I have so many, like, moving parts. So I'm sorry if this is kind of a bummer of an episode. I guess the poop scoop is pretty great. That fucking girl, man. I just came out and I just looked like haggard and just like, you're still here. She's like, oh, hi. I'm like, that, like, it was just, I can't describe how, I don't know. Okay. So, yes, my neighbor has seen H under the bridge with no mask on, hanging out with the drug addicts. Right. So so he finally moved out the 15th of January. And I was like, sweet, we're done with this. But, so remember the girl that used to, that hangs out by the pool and eats like a full-blown steak every day? Not every day, but like she eats like a full-on meal. There's like a knife involved, right? And then she drinks like 6 White Claws and passes out for a while. The one who tried to be my friend after I don't know if you guys remember this. So I threw a party like 2 years ago on like Labor Day, and she was walking by, and I'm way too friendly of a drunk. I'm such a friendly drunk. I'm like, come on in, be my friend. Here are my friends, have a beer. And so then I give her my number, and then she spent the next 6 months asking if I would have another party. And I finally had to be like, yo, girl, I'm never going to do that again. That was like stars aligned. I didn't work like enough. Like the stars fucking aligned in order for me to be able to do that. I'm typically working, and I don't have time to get drunk by the pool every day. So stop asking me. And now she does not like me at all. Like, when we see each other, she just like glares at me. I'm like, okay. So H made friends with her, and now he's staying with her, or was for a few days. And he's just wandering around our apartment complex like he owns the goddamn place, which is so scary. Like, the brazen attitude. So Sunday night, I'm sitting in my apartment, and I get the gate calls me. And I just let it in without looking, because I was expecting an Amazon package, and I was just like, oh, it's probably just Amazon. And then I got this sinking feeling, and I went to my window, and it was him calling me so he could get into the building. And I was like, oh, fuck. And then the next night at the same time, he called again. This time, of course, I didn't answer, and he did it 3 more times. But someone's letting him in. Like, I'm watching through the window, and he hangs up on mine, and then he'll call until somebody lets him in. And we think he was just sleeping in here, because then the blonde girl, the steak girl who lays by the pool all the time, there started being a couple of dudes that were like hanging out at her place for like the last week. And I'm assuming like that's what I would do if I like made friends with this guy and then I couldn't get rid of him. I would just ask one of my buddies to stay here until he went away. But he was still calling. And then, yeah, so it's just like, it's so scary. There's so many levels to it. It's like, you're probably like, call the landlord. Well, the landlord doesn't always give a fuck about any of this. Actually, ever. I had a neighbor that was threatening my life one night, pounding on the ceiling, screaming, I'm going to come up there and kill you, bitch. And then when I called, this like 11 years ago, when I called my landlord, he was like, oh, yeah, quote, he went, oh, yeah, that's just Mike. He's back from Iraq for the weekend, so he just gets a little wild while he's deployed. Don't worry about it. I'm like, what? What the fuck did you just say? And I had to explain very slowly to my landlord why that is scary. And then he, of course, did something finally. But so it's hairy with that. Plus, my landlord likes H. Plus, people are inviting this guy in, right? So it's just like, you don't want to, like, there's not really a leg to stand on. Plus, you say something, this guy is clearly unstable. I don't want to be involved at all. So yesterday, so it's just been like, I've just been really anxious. And then the ex-girlfriend was telling the neighbor, it was just like, I think he's supposed to move to Mexico February 1st. So hopefully that happens. I don't really know what to tell you. I wouldn't like get anybody else involved. He's not really safe. So she just said, I would just dim my lights and make sure my doors are locked at all times. So I'm like, fuck. So yesterday I was walking outside. What's happening? I was walking outside and, in the morning, I was attempting my walks again. It's been a rough week, man. And I'm walking by and I feel eyes on me. Like I'm walking across the street from my apartment and I feel eyes on me and I look up and there he is waiting at the gate staring at me. And I'm like, what the fuck is he doing? Like, forget about how sad that is, where it's just like, man, you moved. What the fuck are you doing? And, but he's just staring and I'm like, I don't know what to do. Cause like, I gotta go through that gate. Fuck. So there's a back gate that I don't have a key to, but my neighbor does because that's where she parks. So I text her and I was like, I'm going to walk up and around. Can you let me through the back gate? I hate this. And she doesn't answer because she's asleep or whatever she's doing, right? She doesn't answer, not because she's being a dick. She's just not near her phone. And I'm like, I guess I just walk for a little while longer. Like, I feel so uncomfortable. Like, how is this happening? And then I walked around the block and then came back up and my landlord and his wife were at the gate with them. So I walked up and around and I was able to get in through the back and they talked for a long time and then H walked away and we haven't seen him since. That was yesterday morning. And last night was the first night in like 5 days. I haven't gotten a text or a phone call from the gate, him trying to get in. I don't know. It's making me really uneasy. And then if you know me really well, like I don't get rattled easily. Like I've worked in a lot of bar situations where I can't get rattled easily. And I had a fucked up childhood. Like, not a lot rattles me, but I'm just like in this space in here right now. And I'm just like, all my doors are locked, right? All my doors are locked, right? It's just, so you got that. And then Monday, the bars open back up, right? And I'm just having a lot of anxiety around that. I physically can't go back to that bar. Like, I physically can't bartend right now. I walked for 45 minutes yesterday, and I spent the rest of the day trying to figure out how to breathe better. You just watched me. Oh, no, this is before I hit record. Like 5 minutes before I hit record, I was in here trying to breathe properly. So I physically can't go back to work. My fear is, and it's irrational, and I'm even kind of afraid to, like, share it on here. My fear is that they will report me to unemployment that I refused work. But there's like a couple moving parts with that. We're going to go into one lucky broad right now because there's a couple moving parts. One, I'm not under there. Like my claim isn't under this bar. I worked there under 2 months and also I physically can't do the job. So like, there's like a whole section on the website that explains what ground, like I can appeal it if they do. And if they do, it would be literally only to be petty. That's it. Like, it would just, like, they'd have to go out of their way to report me, and only because they were trying to be petty, right? So, like, I'm not super worried about that, but, like, yeah, I am. I'm scared, like, because it is your livelihood, you know what I mean? Like, the unemployment is my livelihood right now, unfortunately, but, like, I physically can't do that job. And so Monday, the group chat, the bartenders, the head bartender, I'm going to do my best just to bite my tongue on this one. But he was like, hey, we're probably going to open up on Friday. Everybody be prepared to work. And so I texted him privately and was just like, hey man, I'm still not testing negative. Doctor says I won't probably do that for like 3 or 4 months, which is true. The only thing I lied about, I didn't lie about anything, actually. Like, I physically can't do the job. But I have the long hauler COVID. I physically can't do the job, so I won't be able to come back right now. I will keep you updated. But I'm still doing physical therapy stuff, and I'm not testing negative. But the thing is, like, so, like, that, like, I thought that would just be that, right? I thought he'd be like, cool, and that would be it, right? Crickets. And the group text, crickets. And I'm like, okay, well, maybe I feel so uncomfortable sharing this just because I'm like afraid someone's listening. I'm so scared of them reporting, and I'm not declining work. I just can't do that job, right? And they're not offering me back the same job, by the way. It's like one shift. Anyway, but like, I hate sharing about this. But yeah, I'm just scared. I'm just scared that, and every bartender, like, and that's where I'm one lucky broad. I'm one lucky broad that I've reached out to a lot of friends who are in the bar industry, and every single one of them are like, yeah, you're not even on that claim. And also, COVID is grounds to say no thank you to a job right now if they're not safe. If it's, I got COVID there, so we can get into that another time. When I'm free and clear, we'll really get into this. But yeah, I'm one lucky bro. And then I have another friend that I talked to on the phone for a long time, and he was like, all right, well, this is what happens. 1, they're not going to. 2, if they do, you can appeal. 3, if the appeal goes through, here's a lawyer I know. 4, if all of those 4 or 5 options go away, I know you made money as a comic in 2019, so you will be able to do independent contractor, and you'll at least make 500. Like, so I'm just scared of my health. It's not great right now, and yeah, like I said, like I'm doing the best I can, but I have a long hauler. Like I have a headache right now. It's just so stressed out. I'm just really stressed out. I don't know, but yeah, so I'm lucky I have a lot of support around me. And I know even if something were to happen, they're not going to, I'm not going to lose unemployment tomorrow. So it's fine. It's going to work out. It's just, the money shit's scary, and relationship stuff is scary. And, yeah, it's just, and, my safety is a little on the line right now. And I feel like I'm being dramatic, but I'm not. Like, I was raised in a household that when you were genuinely afraid of stuff like this, you would be told to, like, not be sensitive. Like, when I moved here, my dad came out here to help me find an apartment. This is why I think I'm being dramatic about the neighbor. And the unemployment stuff, I don't know. I kind of wish I didn't share about it just because I think putting it out there in the universe, I don't think anybody from my bar even thinks about me. But that's so sad to say, but it's true. So I just feel weird putting it out there. Honestly, though, if you hear that and you do have any, like, positive thoughts, please DM me or email me at kimkralspace@gmail.com. Please, like, just because I am a little uneasy about it. And any kind of, like, peace of mind would be helpful. Even though I have, like, 15 people that have given me peace of mind, I think once this weekend's over, I'll feel a little bit better. Or just the guy just going, yeah, cool, you're fine. Don't worry about it. You know what I mean? Like, it's just like, fuck communication. But yeah, when I moved out here, my dad came out here to help me find a place. And we all know my dad, wasn't a very good dad. And, I don't know why I'm talking like that. But, yeah, he, some of his perceptions were skewed, to put it lightly. First of all, everywhere we went that didn't have all white people, my dad thought it was Compton. And like that, like, my dad, I don't think was racist, but he wasn't, like, anti-racist. Like, we talk about that now, right? It's not just good to not be racist. You need to be anti-racist. But I think he just grew up in all white places. Like, I think my dad didn't know very many people of color his whole life, right? He was born and raised in Denver and then lived in Nebraska. And so, and same, when I came to LA, I never really was, like, freaked out by, like, at all. Like, so I don't know why but everywhere we went that there was any brown or black person, he'd be like, we're in Compton, which was everywhere because it's Los Angeles. Like, it's a big old melting pot. And so everywhere he was just like, you can't live here. You can't live here. And, so we found this guy who was my dad's age, who was renting out a room on the beach in his 1-bedroom apartment. 1 bedroom, 1 bathroom apartment. And it was private bathroom, private bedroom. So we get there. The guy is my dad's age. I'll never forget, he had flaming hot Cheetos he was eating, and it was all over his mouth and all over his hands and all over his pants. And just, like, zero shame. Just, like, zero fucks. Was just, like, yeah, like, drooling him out. It was so gross. And he's like explaining how much it is, and it's a big room, it's a nice bathroom, it's on the beach, and it's a good price, I can afford it. And my dad's like, I think we'll take it. And I was like, oh, I have questions. And thank God, like, I was such a people pleaser then, and I thought my dad knew everything. And thank God I listened to that voice that was like, hey, there's some stuff I probably ought to know before I live here and end up in a body bag, or you wearing my skin, or I don't know, chained to the wall, like something, right? Like, I mean, like the sky's the limit on what would have happened to me if I lived there. But I was like, okay, well, you said it's a private bathroom. Where do you go to the bathroom? He's like, well, I go to the Y. I shower at the Y. And he was going to sleep on the couch, by the way. Like, was like, well, where do you sleep? He's like, I sleep on the couch. And I'm like, okay, well, where do you go to the bathroom? He's like, the Y. I'm like, what if you have to go to the bathroom in the middle of the night? He goes, I'll just wait until the morning. And I'm like, okay, well, am I allowed to put a lock on my door? And he's like, no locks anywhere. And I was like, my dad's like, all right, well, we'll get the deposit money and we'll come back tomorrow and sign the lease. And we walk out and I was like, hey, Dad. And I had to explain to this motherfucker that, like, what the fuck are you thinking? And my dad was like, oh, yeah, I guess you're right. Like, what do you mean, I guess you're right? Like, so I didn't end up living with him, but, like, I was just told that I was being dramatic anytime I didn't feel safe in certain situations, especially with men. I mean, my dad, didn't really care about my safety in terms of, sexual abuse, I suppose. So I guess that, oh wow, I'm having a breakthrough here. I guess that's probably why I feel uncomfortable and like I'm being dramatic with my unstable neighbor who probably I don't know. I hope he's gone. I just hope he's gone. All my windows and doors are locked. I'm not letting him in the gate. I wish I hadn't. I'm afraid to say anything to my landlord just because like I just don't want my name brought into it. You know what I mean? Like it's just this week I just feel really unsafe. That's all. I just feel really unsafe. Like things are up in the air with my health and my and I hope I don't lose my unemployment because I can't go back to this job. I am looking for jobs. I'm doing my fulfilling my weekly requirement of finding jobs that I'm physically capable of doing. It's just really scary. And I'm one lucky broad that I have a lot of people in my life that support me and know that, and I know I'm not alone. And I know that if it does come down to it, they'll help me appeal it. They'll help me, get on disability if that's what I need to do. Like, I know I'm going to be okay. But, like, I go back to my, my childhood. It's my safety. And it's just, like I know normal people would be scared of this stuff, too. But mine's, like, heightened because I think I'm going to die. Like I equate safety and shelter to death, and not the way normal people do, but like in a way where it's just like if I lose my unemployment, I will die, and that's just not the case. But that's like my go-to, my innate reaction to stuff, and it's like I don't have to like my brain keeps being like, all right, well, I guess you could go back and just like work one day. Maybe they'll just let you go back and work like 2 days. Like, what if they'll be okay? And I'm just like, you physically can't do the job. It's not even that you don't want to go back, which I don't, but like you physically cannot do the job. I walked for 2 hours last week and I was in bed for 3 days. Like it's just, and I'm reading, I have the long hauler COVID, unfortunately. And like, yeah, I have the long hauler COVID and I'm like, now I'm like, God, is this episode a bummer? I always gotta think about that, but like I have the long hauler COVID and like, we don't even know the long terms of it, the long-term effects of this. I don't even know if this is going to affect this will affect the rest of my life, let alone right now, and that sounds dramatic, but like, I've read a lot of stories about these long haulers, that like they tried to go back too soon. One girl ended up in the hospital because she felt not great, but was just like, I don't feel terrible the way, because like it's night and day how I feel right now than how I felt for 2 months while I was in bed. So I understand how easy it is to just kind of push yourself now, right? But all like people are posting people who push themselves. One girl was like, oh, I pushed myself, I wound up in the hospital, and I had hundreds of little blood clots on my lungs, and now I almost died. And so like it's not even like, this is what they talk about in the program, my ACA, adult child of alcohol, like, because they're like, oh, AA and NA, that's actual life and death because it's drugs and alcohol and you can actually drink yourself to death. But this is where they're talking about how my shit is life and death, because I will people please back into this job because I'm afraid of abandonment and upsetting anybody, and then I could die. Like that's where my brain has been all weekend. So I'm just really fucking freaked out. Yeah, and I'm freaked out. I hope that this guy is gone. I don't know what to do. I think if my neighbor and I have sort of decided that if he does come back, we feel comfortable going to the landlord, and then if nothing's done, we feel comfortable calling the police. I don't know. My guy, I don't know what to call him. My friend, I don't think he listens to this yet. I think he told me that he's a little afraid to listen to it. Cause like, he said he didn't listen to it last year when we ended because he was scared that I talked about him. And I was like, oh yeah, episode like 4 to 12, I just cried about you. So if you want to hear how you truly broke my heart, you can listen to like 6 episodes of me just crying about you. So fun. What a fun little scrapbook we'll have if we work out. But he's like, call the cops. And I'm like, yeah, but this and this. And then I'm like, I think I'm going to get a taser. And he's like, I'd feel more comfortable if you had that. That, by the way, that front, I know I'm still playing it close to the chest because I am really happy and it's going well. But there are a lot of stuff. I am communicating and asking for needs that I need. Like I'm asking for what I need and I'm showing up for him and he's showing up for me. And it's kind of cool. I still don't, I mean, who knows? You know, I do stand by this could go one of 2 ways. You know, there's literally 2 ways this can go. He's the love of my life, the guy, and we got plenty of time and I don't need to freak out and be hyper vigilant about this whole thing. Or he's not. And this is just really good practice, you know, good practice setting boundaries. Like last year, I wasn't able to do any of that with him. I was just so scared of him leaving me that it was just like, okay, you don't have to, you can not treat me the way I want to be treated or what I need from this or, you know, the communication I need. I was just so scared to rock the boat. And believe me, I'm asking for stuff and then I'm like throwing my phone across the room and I'm like, oh God, what if he says no? Or what if he leaves? But I'm still doing it. I'm still showing up. I'm going to tell him not to listen to this episode. Whatever. He knows a lot about me. Yeah, you guys have probably gathered that I overshare everywhere. But yeah, so that, I mean, that, like, things are going well. There's just, like, these 2 big things. And I know it's going to be okay. Even if it's not. You know what I mean? Like, even if the neighbor does show up and pounds on my door, like, I will be okay. Like, I mean, technically. That sounds really scary. Like, I guess he could come in here and murder me. But that's unlikely. Like, if he keeps coming back, there are tools and what word am I looking for? Avenues I can take. In order for my safety. And then unemployment stuff, there's a tools, safety, and resources. Like, I'm going to be okay. It's a little, I don't know. It's just a little, let's see here. I don't even know what that noise was. I'm just feeling a little crazy. Just a little scary. I am going to try and wax my vagina tomorrow. That's a left turn. Right turn? I don't know. I am going to try and wax my own vagina tomorrow again. Remember last time I did this like a year ago? It was a full-blown nightmare. But I got new wax, so I'll let you know how it goes. Yeah, I don't know. What's cool about all of this stuff that's going on, like I am really scared and I am really freaked out. That's what's cool. Bye. Just kidding. But there was a clip a couple weeks ago that I was just like, a lot of people are dying. Bye. It's just so fun. I don't know why it made me laugh really hard. But because it was funny. Yeah, with all of this stuff, like, okay, so I go to my meetings, right? My ACA. And by the way, I would never break anybody's anonymity. When they talk about how these are anonymous programs, they do talk about how keeping your own anonymity is also important, but it's also discernment on where, like, I'm comfortable sharing but if you're listening and you're in my program with me, no, I would never break other anonymity. Like, I'm breaking my own for sure, but that's mine to break. And I use discernment. And I think, and with this podcast, I've actually gotten a few people in the rooms and they've benefited from it or started to, or, you know, I it's none of my business. I love that they're going, but you know what I mean? So like, if I could get one person to feel the way I feel, like, now, like, night and day, like, even like my home, dude, I was like looking around my home and I'm just like, even I'm shining more in that aspect, you know, like this like, and when I first started going, there is, okay, what am I trying to say with this? I'm trying to say this. Who am I kidding? I'm trying to say this with a concise amount of words. Fuck it. Who cares? Right. But yeah, that's the thing. Like, with all of this stuff that's going on, I know I am going to be okay. And like, there was a guy that shared, I was probably like a couple of months in, right? And he said, the thing this program gave me is an unshakable sense of self. That's it. That's all I need. And I wrote it down because I didn't have that. It was like, I will, like I said, like my instincts right now are just to go back to the bar, just to make sure I'm not, just in case. I don't want to upset anybody, or I might lose, I might lose money. I might this, I might that. Like, my instincts are to do that. But now I am okay. Like, it took 2 years of hard fucking work, and I'm far from done. My God, I don't even think I've scratched the surface on the work I'm doing, which is horrifying, but awesome. You know what I mean? Like, it's so scary, but I'm so excited because the work has been so fulfilling. And I've had to, no, yeah, I say I had to, but now I look at it and I'm like, I've gotten to. There's stuff that I've shared with my sponsor and my fellows in this program that, like, I genuinely thought I would have to carry to my grave. Heavy stuff. Heavy. Nothing I'm ready to share here. Who knows, though? I hope to someday, because I think when I have shared it on a group level in these rooms, I've had, like, people have been like, oh my God, I thought I was alone. And it's about sexual abuse. It's a lot about sexual abuse. And the stuff that comes along with it. But that, I thought that, like, I would have to carry that to my grave. I thought that I would have to hold it alone and nobody would understand, or that I was so unlovable because I had that shit. And I got that promise that guy said, that if you kept coming back and you kept working on yourself, and whether if you go to a 12-step or you're in therapy or you're in a spiritual whatever, like, whatever you're doing to work on yourself, like, this is my pathway, right? ACA is my pathway. It's not for everybody. I mean, I think everybody should go to this, but, like, it's not. But, like, whatever your thing is, like, keep going, dude. Because, like, that promise of that unshakable sense of self, like, I love me. I love me. And, like, I don't, like, with this dude, I don't need to talk to people about it. Like, before it, like, we FaceTimed, I don't know, a couple days ago, and I was fucking over the moon happy, right? Like, I couldn't stop smiling, and like, old Kim would have needed, like, affirmation from other people that this is a good thing, because I didn't have that unshakable sense of self. And I got off the phone and I got to just feel that love and happiness, and, like, who knows what's gonna happen, but, like, in this moment, and it's just, that's what I hope for everybody, just that unshakable sense of self. I know I keep saying those words, but man, I mean, I have a teal closet, I know, and I talk about shit in my pants. Unshakable sense of self. So I think that's it for the day. I'm late again. I'm late, not period late. You know what I mean? I don't know why I said that. I say that. But yeah, if you've heard anything today that you're like, oh, don't worry about that, or you have resources for me, I would really appreciate it. I am a little freaked out, or support. I don't know. I guess I'm asking for a little bit of advice if you have some, or encouragement. I don't know. KimKralspace@gmail.com. KYMKRAL space SPACE @gmail.com. I am slow. I worked through most of my DMs. I'm going to finish them today, but I'd rather just the email. Honestly, like, please hear this. Please just email me. Like, the DMs are out of control. Like, one guy DM'd me, no joke, 32 times. 32 times in 3 years with zero response. His last one was, hey, Kim, I'm kind of going through a lot right now. Do you think maybe you could write me back? I'm like, I don't know you, man. Sorry, no, what? So just, like, I don't look at my DMs a lot because of stuff like that. So I would appreciate, unless you have my phone number, you can text me, but, like, email me, please. And sorry, that was a very, like, lecture-y, but I would appreciate that. Yeah, so let's see here. Follow me on everything. I would love that. KYMKRAL. Let's see. Oh, I have a new show on Stereo app. You can download the Stereo app for free, and it's got a bunch of cool shows on it, so you don't even just have to listen to mine. But I have a show every Tuesday and Thursday. The time is kind of changing around. We're trying to find the best time to get the most listeners. Every Tuesday and Thursday with very funny comedian Kelsey Lane. Conspiracies with Kelsey and Kim. If you want me to explore any conspiracies, you can email me that too, please, because I'm running out of conspiracies. We had a QAnon broad on last night. Jesus Christ, like, dude. I mean, thanks to her, we had a lot of listeners, because I think people wanted to hear what the fuck this person was going to say next. Apparently, they believe that Donald Trump is going to be sworn in on March 4th. None of us will have to pay our taxes ever again, and once we present our birth certificate, the corporation that is America will be giving us 1 bar of gold for every year we've been alive, and Ellen DeGeneres was executed 3 days ago. It was, I mean, there was some other stuff in there about pedophilia and sex rings that made me need to shower afterwards, but it's pretty interesting. We talk about conspiracies. Sometimes we end up really, really believing them, like Paul McCartney died in 1966. So give it a listen. Download the Stereo app. If you follow me on Instagram, I will post all that stuff. I would love it if you could support there. And if you could give this a subscription, a rating, a review. I'm on YouTube as well. Just, I don't know, support, throw any support at me you can. It means a lot. I'm trying to get the podcast up and, out there for people. I think it's weird to say I think I have a voice worth listening to. Isn't that so weird? Let's pause. Everybody say something nice about yourself right now. Say I, fill in your name, M. Did you say something cool about yourself? So I, Kim Kral, have a voice that is worth listening to. So uncomfortable. But yeah, be nice to yourselves, So, if you could rating, review, give me a subscribe, that would be awesome. Send me your poop scoop, your one lucky broad at kimcrawlspace@gmail.com. I would love that. Let's see here. I don't know. Be nice. The same thing I say every week. Oh, I almost choked. Be nice to each other. It's really fucking hard out there. It's rough right now, man. So just be cool. Soda Pop, be cool. I'll see you next week. Bye.